There is absolutely no denying that the pressure is significantly on today. The manager, the players, they've just got to respond. They've got to respond to that humiliation last weekend against Arsenal. It's one of those where, well, let's be honest, us fans have taken the brunt of it, haven't we, massively this week. The stick we've all been getting from Arsenal fans and everybody else, Spurs, etc. It was really humiliating, and we need to see a response. We need to see these players and our manager step up now and show that we are able to compete, because that was shambolic, you know what I mean? And you feel that if we don't, then it's going to turn unbelievably toxic. It already kind of is, isn't it? Let's be honest. The mood is bad, but it doesn't bear thinking about if West Ham do not show up today. It's a really, really big game. I wouldn't go as far as saying season defining, but you get that feeling that it's like that sort of sliding doors moment. It's like if we win today and we go and put in a good performance, it will just lift the mood enough and just give that belief, breathe a little bit of belief back into us and the players and the manager, everybody, just to sort of feel like, okay, we can still try and compete here this season. We can still try and get a European place. Because at the moment, let's be honest, the mood has shifted so much because in the turn of this year, because of how bad things have been in terms of our form, that the belief now is dwindling. I'm certainly starting to feel that, it weren't long ago we were starting to dream of top six, thinking it could happen this season if we can just get our January right. January was a diabolical joke, from the football club, and our form's been terrible, and it's just now the feeling is starting to do it, drift away, and now it's starting. I mean, David Moyes, we'll come to him in a little bit when we talk about West Ham. In terms of his press conference comments, they weren't great, in my opinion. But look, it's a big game today. Nottingham Forest. It's going to be no easy task. I mean, Forest. Let's talk about them first. Of course, changed their manager, Steve Cooper, departed. Well, he didn't part. He was let go, wasn't he? But probably the right decision. I did feel for him, though. He's been brilliant for that football club. And it was really, you felt that from their fans' reaction, that they really respected Steve Cooper and they respected what he's done for the football club. Much like he'd feel actually about West Ham, you know what I mean? And that's the sad thing, isn't it, when you think of David Moyes, is because of what he's actually brought to the club. And I'll always be very grateful to that, in that sort of like reflection of how probably Nottingham Forest felt to Steve Cooper, but the change was needed. It's a very similar feeling to David Moyes, isn't it? That you feel like, look, I'm really grateful for what you've done. You got us a trophy, you gave us this, but there's a feeling now that a different direction is needed, definitely. And Nottingham Forest have got that. They brought in Nuno, who's done well. He has done well. He breathed a bit of life into the football club. They seem, I mean, don't get me wrong, big trouble this season. They are in big trouble. But they just seem a little bit more settled. They seem slightly more settled than normal. They're scoring goals. They're conceding a lot of goals. That's their issue. They're not, but they're entertaining, I find, at times. Actually, Forest, you always guarantee goals with them, and their form isn't great. I mean, I was looking at it in terms of the Premier League. Last 5 games they've played, they've only won once. They've drawn once and lost 3. They are in bad form. I think they're 2 points above the relegation zone as well. So the pressure is significantly on Forest as well, which hopefully could play into West Ham's hands a little bit, because in fact they've got to come out and get a result. And hopefully we've got the ability there to sort of pick them off with the quality we have. But I mean, the confidence at West Ham isn't good at the moment, is it? So it's hard to sort of envision that. And let's be honest, we're not scoring goals. We're just not looking like a team capable of scoring at the moment, which is ridiculous considering you've got Jared Bowen, Mohamed Kudus in the side. We just look lost, don't we, without Paqueta? Again, we'll come to West Ham in a second. But Nottingham Forest, they're in a relegation battle. I think they were expecting that probably this season. Maybe they're hoping for a little bit more, that they might have maybe just tried to push towards maybe the mid-table, the sort of 12th, 13th, 11th mark, around there. But I think they're going to be in this to the end, a relegation dogfight. But I think they've got enough in them. I think they've shown they've got enough. I think they've got some decent players. The thing they just need to sort out is their defensive line. They just need to stop conceding goals, and then they could be all right. And you look at other teams around them. Not Sheffield United, Burnley for me look like pretty much dead certs to go down now. So really only looking at one place. Everton, of course, are down there, and Luton. So you think realistically it's probably between the 3 of Luton, Nottingham Forest and Everton that will probably be joining the other 2. And also you've got this points deduction thing hanging over the club. It's difficult, isn't it? This financial fair play. It almost feels again like it's another system that's been there it's been brought in under the guise You know, it's been brought in as a sort of like, yeah, this is going to help. It's to protect clubs. It's to protect clubs from going under. And you think, okay, that sounds better. But then actually, when you sort of look deeper into it and when you see it in action, what it actually is just protecting the big clubs. That's what it's doing. It's stopping clubs from spending money. Because Forest have money to spend. They're not going bankrupt. Do you know what I mean? I know that they've showed losses, but they're able to deal with those losses because of their ownership. But it's almost like that's not allowed to come into play. It's to do with revenue, and they're not able to compete with the likes of your Arsenal's, your Man United's, etc. It does feel very harsh, actually. But at the same time, as I've said about Everton, we know the rules. We know it's not as if they've sprung the rules upon them. They were well aware of this. But let's wait and see. We don't know what the outcome's going to be, but it looks like they're in trouble. And I think a points deduction could see them in huge trouble. It'd be a lifeline for Sheffield United and Burnley, most definitely, especially if Everton, of course, are again hit with another sanction, which looks like they could well be. I know at the moment they're challenging, aren't they? Their initial 10-point ban. But look, it's a difficult season for Forest. I think they will stay up. Obviously, the points deduction is going to be the key on that, I think. If without the points deduction, let's imagine that's not going to happen, because I think it's too hard to predict, isn't it? We just don't know. I think if that's not going to come into play, I can see them surviving, but I think it will go down to the wire. I don't see them pulling away anytime soon. But make no mistake, Nottingham Forest are looking at this fixture thinking, we can win this. This is 3 points to us. This is a game we can win. West Ham are all over the shop at the moment. They're in big trouble. West Ham have just come off a 6-0 hammering. We can beat this lot. So we're in for a tough game. And City Ground's tough. We lost there last season, didn't we? I mean, ridiculously so. Shouldn't have done, but we did. It'd be nice to put that to bed today, put that right. But as I say, like you, I'm not confident. It's very hard, isn't it? When you've just been battered, we've had a terrible run of form. You can't go into games going, fancy us today. I'll come to predictions in a minute. I did one for the podcast on our Patreon channel. If you're not a Patreon member, by the way, please go and check it out. It's absolutely brilliant. We've got some fantastic content on there. We got obviously news from XWHU employee directly, literally straight to your phone as it hits. You'll be giving the team lineup today early, which is always good. And obviously things that are going on around the club. So it's very, very good. And of course, we've got our podcast and bits and pieces going on there. And I've got the link below. So go and check that out. Players I admire for Nottingham Forest, so I think he's going to cause us trouble. I mean, you've got Gibbs White. I mean, he's obviously their sort of standout player and an amazing player, really is. And one you look at, and think he'd be good for West Ham. He's a player that we should be looking at, in my opinion. Why we're not, I don't know. But I mean, maybe we are, but we should be. He's an excellent player, been brilliant for Forest, and he's a difference maker. He really is, and he could prove vital for them today against West Ham. And then you've got Chris Wood. I mean, that player just loves to score against West Ham. 9 goals this season for them already. He's a handful, and he's difficult to deal with. And I'll tell you what, he'd be relishing today. I really do. I think he'd be rubbing his hands together. I think, I've got, especially with our backline at the moment, we've got a significant issue in defence. And I really hope, as I keep saying it, kind of West Ham, but David Moyes better bloody get this right today. I tell you, he's under massive pressure. And Alango, I've got to say, a player, again, another Forest player I look at and think, why aren't we going in for this player? Perfect for West Ham, really would be. But I really admire them. They've got some decent players for us. They really have. They're nowhere near the kind of finished article in terms of being a Premier League team yet. They're still finding their feet. But survival for them obviously is vital to sort of kick on and reinvest this summer and go again and sort of just build yourself up and keep getting stronger. I think next season, if they can stay up, the next season, obviously, their target will sort of be if we can just not be in a relegation fight, they'll see that as a big step forward. But I don't see them pulling away anytime soon. Let's go on to West Ham then. I mean, if I have to, I don't bloody want to be honest. I'm really not. I'm not in a great mood, as I'm sure you can tell, and I'm sure you're not as well. It's been difficult, isn't it? It's difficult to get up for these games and look forward and get excited after what we've just been through. We are reeling big time from that London derby defeat against Arsenal. I mean, it was just absolutely horrendous. A really dark day for this club, a dark day for the players, and then even especially dark day for David Moyes and his tenure at West Ham. I mean, he's just, do you know what, David Moyes, right? I do wonder sometimes. I'm of the opinion, like many, where I say he's just so stubborn. He's just so stubborn. I'm actually starting to doubt his stubbornness at times. I'm actually just wondering if he's just a bit blind to it. Do you know what I mean? And it's not just the manager as well. It's the club. They just seem so out of sync of what's going on. Do you know what I mean? It's like they don't. David Moyes, at times, well, for a lot of the time, doesn't seem to grasp West Ham. He doesn't seem to grasp what the fans are, what this club's about. He just doesn't get it. It's almost. I mean, it's not as bad, but it's similar to Sam Allardyce. That just such a detached viewpoint of how things are run, how things are going, and what, you know, this constant beating the drum that we've had it, never had it so good. West Ham never had it so good. Things are so great. Just stop going on about that. It's winding the fans up. We don't want to keep hearing about looking back. West Ham want to progress. I don't think they're just not grasping that. That's the bit is not going in his head. He's not thinking. The fans want to see ambition and hunger, and you can't just accept hammerings and beatings and terrible performances and just treat it like it's kind of, oh, that's one of those things. You're West Ham. People, that is the point that really drives me mad with him. It's just a detached view all the time. David Sullivan's got it. You know, David Sullivan's and the club's reaction, they were confused. Talking to Gonzo at Hammer's Chat about this. And he was saying that, you know, the ownership they didn't even understand why fans left at half time. They couldn't understand it. But why can't you understand that? Like, it's just a total, I keep saying detachment, but it is. It's just, they're just not grasping what's going on. And David Moyes is very similar to that. He really is really frustrating. And to be honest with you, he's wound me up a little bit further this week with his press conference. I know he got slightly misquoted, but he kind of lent towards, you know, we need to pick up some wins, etc., etc. But it's the fact that when he was asked about players, about injuries, he was sort of referring to the fact that he was talking about Kurt Zouma. And he was asked about the injury, and he was talking like we'd all be relieved. He was going, "Oh yeah, no, Kurt Zuma's fine. I know we've got nothing to worry about Kurt. He's absolutely fine." He's not fine, David. He can barely run. He can barely bloody walk. It's like, what are you seeing on the pitch? What are you witnessing? It's almost like he's just not seeing actual fact. It's just a complete different view to everybody else. It's really strange and very frustrating. And yeah, and we see it in his team selections, don't we? We see it there. Like, this just not, the penny's just not dropping with certain things. Thomas Souček being one. A horrendous performance for him against Arsenal. And I don't really actually blame Thomas Souček for it, because he's just played out of position. He's just not good enough for that role. But David Moyes, again, as I say, it's not as if he's being stubborn. It's just, he's just not seeing it. It's like he just can't see what's actually going on. It's so frustrating. And it's the kind of way West Ham are as a club, isn't it? How we operate. Look at January. You know, every single football fan of this football club knew we had to get a left winger in. We needed a striker. Those were the absolute priority positions. So what do? We sell two wingers and bring in a midfielder. It's just like we offered Zaha. Wilfred Zaha. Do you know what I mean? Offered Wilfred Zaha on loan, and we didn't want to do it. Crazy, absolute crazy. And, you know, as I said before, Armando Braja, you know, gone from Chelsea, the same player we were chasing for a whole summer to try and sign him, pay 30-40 million for him, whatever it was. He's available on loan for the rest of the season. No, we won't bother with that. Why? Why wouldn't you do that when you've got no other alternatives? It really is. It baffles. It really, I find it, and it's just a demonstration of where the club is at, in my opinion. In terms of a decision making, of what's happening, it's really frustrating. And look, you know, I'm sort of going off on a bit of a tangent here, and obviously I want to get back to the preview, but it's my point is today is that's what we need to see from David Moyes. We need to see a realistic lineup, a lineup that reflects what's happened. You can't then go and put Thomas Souček back in the same position, the same man that just got battered. Do you know what I mean? You can't play a Gerd and Zouma again. Do you know what I mean? And go, they'll be all right. But you just know he will. Do you know what I mean? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't seen the lineup. Don't know what it is. I could be completely wrong. but my gut feeling is he won't. And this is where I get the frustration with David Moyes. It's just this detachment from what's going on. He's just not aware. He's not seeing it. But anyway, we'll talk to another glorious, happy video about David Moyes later on. Let's talk about the game. As I said, big pressure on, but we've got Michail Antonio back in the squad. I mean, that's a boost. That is a lift. I mean, it shouldn't be now, really. We shouldn't be in a position where we're absolutely craving the return of a 34-year-old striker. We shouldn't be in this position as a football club, in my opinion, but that's where we are. But I can't help it because of the lack of options, because of the lack of goals and the desperation we're finding ourselves in with our form. This is where we're at, where we're absolutely desperate to see Michail Antonio back in form. I mean, he's available. Moyes has confirmed it. I'm actually expecting him to start. I'm going to be honest. I think he has to. I think he has to start because we don't have any other options. We don't have options. And and the defending is, for me, is the big one. The defence today is the big question. David Moyes, on my word, has to get this right. Because this has been the problem for quite some time, is our defending. It's been atrociously poor. I mean, it's no obviously secret considering the fact the scorelines. We can shipped in 9 goals in 2 games, not scored 1. I mean, it's ridiculous. He's under big pressure today. Big pressure to get the squad right. I mean, everything needs to be better today. The lineup, the attitude, everything, the way we play, everything needs a big improvement today. Hopefully we do it. I really hope so. I want to be doing a report after this, and we're doing a next video and going, oh, what a great performance. Excellent. That's exactly what we need to see. Will that happen? I'm not confident, not overly confident. Look, get your predictions in. I want to see them because also if you get your prediction in, you enter a competition, you win a prize from our shop. We've got some exciting stuff coming up with our shop, by the way. We'll let you know next week. But yeah, it's all to do with Hobbs memorabilia. It's got some really good items going on. So yeah, really looking forward to that. So this is my lineup. This is what I'm going to go with. If I was the manager, this is what I would be playing today. This would be my first 11. Alphonse Areola in goal. I don't really blame him for Arsenal. I really don't. I don't blame him. I feel for him, actually. I feel he's been let down massively by his defence recently. Let down by the attitude of a lot of the players. And yeah, I'd like to see him in goal today, retain his position. I don't want to. He's certainly not a player that I would hold accountable for what we've been seeing recently. My back line is Ben Johnson at right back. Ben Johnson's been great for us this season. Get him back playing where he plays his best position. He's a right back. Get him back in there. Soufal's been poor. Good attitude. I like Soufal. I love his bloke, but he's not been good enough at all for me this season. Really, overall. So I'd like to see Johnson at right back. Mavropanos and Ogbonna, please, as my central defenders. Had enough of Agüero, to be honest with you. I'm getting a bit tired of the player. I'm really disappointed, actually. I'm going to be honest. He was a player that I had such high hopes for. I think when he came in, he was the player that David Moyes had been wanting for a long time. I was really impressed with him when he came in. Really looked the part. He got injured, didn't he? Remember the pre-season against Rangers? If you remember, the reason he got injured because he made a mistake. He made a mistake in the pre-season friendly against Rangers. He then tried to recover it, and he done his ankle doing it. The man makes too many mistakes, and from what we understand, he didn't make himself available for the African Cup of Nations for his club because he wanted to go and make sure he was fit for playing for his country. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I'm just not overly bowled over. You look back at some of the performances, it's just not been good enough. He's not living up to what we were expecting. I imagine if he played at a top side that were not having to defend for 80 minutes a game at a minimum, he'd probably be very good. I don't think he's up for this David Moyes system of defending, because it's relentless. It's wave after wave after wave of attack all the time. And you've got to be of a certain mindset. And can you imagine the concentration levels? How mentally exhausting that must be, not just physically, but mentally. And so in a way, I don't really blame him really for that. I just think he's just not suited for it. And you can just see. And Kurt Zouma for me is just broken. He is absolutely broken. And I talked about it in another video. Don't think he's a captain anyway. I think his leadership skills are just not there. And I just want to see a change today. I want to see a fresh lineup. I don't want to see the same shit we've seen too often now. I want to see a change. And David Moyes needs to be brave and tell these players, no, I need to make some changes. We need to go and get a result today. So for me, Johnson, Mavropanos, Ogbonna, and Emerson at left back. Emerson as well, I've got to be honest, he made some mistakes. He needs to step up a little bit. He's been fantastic for us this season. He's an important player. So I also don't have any options. I mean, they ain't putting in Creswell, will we? To be honest. And, we know David Moyes ain't going to play Ollie Scholes. He just won't, because he just doesn't play academy players. It's just painful. Midfield, Edson Alvarez, who I think is vital to our midfield and the way we play. I want to see him and Phillips. I want to see Phillips beside him. We need to have a solid back line, and Phillips a little bit more room to go forward and be a bit more distribute the ball. I want to see James Ward-Prowse playing ahead behind the front three. My front three are Jarrod Bowen on the right, Mohamed Kudus playing on the left, and Michail Antonio up front. And I would allow all three to alternate their positions throughout the game. I'd have at times putting Antonio out on the left, putting Bowen up front, Kudus back out on the right, confuse them, mix it up, just keep mixing it up. All three of them are capable of playing in every position. Mick more on the left, but I mean, really, they can play in any position. That is what I would be doing. Be creative and go for it today. We've got to get a result. I'd like to know your thoughts on the lineup. Sorry, I'm ranting today. It does. These videos sometimes are a little bit like, they just get things off your chest as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but I'm sure you're all feeling the same. I'm sure you're feeling the same today. It's a big one, isn't it? We really need to see a rally in this performance. We need to see us a bit of a boost and get everybody up for it. My score prediction, I really want to say we're going to win. I really hope we bloody win. I really, really hope. I want to be doing a video after this going, yes, get in. I just don't see it. I just do not see us getting a result like that today. I hope I'm wrong, but my prediction for this is Nottingham Forest 2, West Ham 2. That's my prediction. I think there's going to be goals. They can see goals. We can see goals. And we cannot afford to lose. If we lose, then my word, it doesn't bear to think how toxic it's going to get.